You may find this shocking, but I have never fit in. From the time I was a young child all the way through today, I have never matched up with societal expectations and what everybody else thinks I should be compared to them, because I'm not them. And I'm a freak. I'm a individual who I'm different. I have a different way of looking at things. I have a different background. I've had different exposures, different education, different work experience from everyone. I have a unique experience just like you do. However, I recognize it and I don't fight really hard to blend in. I have never been able to blend in through one circumstance or another. I've always stuck out. I've always been noticeable, whether I wanted to be or not. And that's just been my life. When I was a young man, I ran with a group of people, and my roommates and all the people that we associated with, we respected and celebrated our diversity and our individuality. The fact that we all had different likes, different tastes, different views, different ways we reacted to things, and we respected our individuality. Within our group, the highest, the number one compliment you could pay anybody was to call them a freak. Because what it meant was that you were an individual. It meant that you refused to try and blend in, and you lived your life as you saw fit, and it didn't really have anything to do with how society looked at you. That was the 90s. I still have that exact same view on individuality being the highest point of self acceptance. And self acceptance is one of the things that guide us forward while we work on our spiritual path, while we work on developing ourself, while we work on healing ourselves. It is that acceptance of yourself that leads you to understand that you don't need an outside validation. Understand that it is okay to not be like other people. You bring in a realization of an individuality that isn't an aloneness, but a strength and a celebration and a way to give back by contributing a part that's missing from other things. Society has created a very toxic relationship between ourselves and ourselves. Society tells us that there's all these different things that you have to do to fit in, to be like everyone else, and none of them really are healthy for us. We're all individuals. Normal isn't normal. It doesn't entirely exist. There are perceptions of what is normal, and everyone has those. However, everyone's perception of normal is different. A lot of that is because we all think that everyone else is judging us according to what we think society says we should be, while everyone is just struggling really hard to accept themselves too. You have to establish a healthy relationship with yourself. You have to learn to go forward without seeking approval, without invalidating your feelings, your needs, or just who you are to fit in or to appease someone else or something else. And it's through that healthy relationship that we're able to accept that our past behavior was the best we could do at the moment, that it was the way we reacted to a moment that is in the past that we have no way to change are freaking out because there is a possibility that we're not perfect in that moment, and allowing that to take over our perception of ourselves, how we failed by not being perfect in that one moment. The world is out of your control. I can't emphasize this enough. The world outside of your actions, your words, your deeds, your thoughts is out of your control. We are going to make mistakes because life is going to constantly throw curveballs at us. We are not always going to know the perfect answer or the exact way to handle each situation because the world changes. There's 1,000 variables that you cannot anticipate because you don't have control. And that lack of control and your fear of making mistakes and that perfectionism, because you have been taught that your worthiness, according to society, your worthiness is partially based on whether you make mistakes or not. You're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has moments where they're unsure. Everyone has moments in their past that they're not the proudest of. The goal, the idea, is to accept those, recognize those, and work to do better. That is an acceptance of self. You have to accept that you are flawed, that we cannot be perfect. It is not possible. It is those flaws that teach us about ourselves and help us grow and help us determine who we want to be as we work towards our self-acceptance. Self-acceptance doesn't mean, oh, wow, I'm perfect, I'm done. I don't need to change anymore. That's not exactly how that works. That's kind of an easy way out and very short-sighted. It's taking the fallibility and the vulnerability that we all have and acknowledging it, acknowledging the parts of us that aren't always the perfect in the light, accepting the shadows, accepting the inconsistencies of our past, and working to fix those, and giving ourselves grace. Grace is forgiveness and acceptance wrapped in one. Because what you've done is when you give yourself grace, you grant yourself the ability to make mistakes. You stop expecting perfectionism from yourself. You start realizing that the world is not a perfect place. And if the world is not a perfect place, you can't be perfect. And you lower your expectations of perfection. I'm not saying you lower your standards. I'm saying you acknowledge that there are forces that you cannot control that force decisions that may or may not, in retrospect, be the best ones to have made. One of the things that we need to remember as we move forward is that, yes, we are all individuals. We are all unique. We need to celebrate that. In the same token, everyone makes mistakes, no matter what they say. No one has lived a completely perfect life. No one has ever not made the wrong decision, because what you do when you make the wrong decision is you learn to make the right decision. You learn what it feels right, what it feels like to make the right decision. You grow. You advance down this path. Everyone has things about themselves that they see as imperfect. The question is, are they controllable? Is it something as simple as you feel that you want to look more professional more often? You want to keep your hair a little tighter and shave and do all that thing to present a specific mask to the outside. That is about your outer appearance and a cosmetic thing. That is way more wrapped up in societal expectations than personal growth. Deciding how you want to be kind and generous and how you want to be compassionate and understanding and give space to people. Whether you want to experience your emotions, and through experience your emotions, acknowledge that not all of them are comfortable because we don't always like what we see in our emotions. We all have struggles. We all have battles to find a worthiness due to these constructs that society has placed upon us, either through what our parents taught us, through what our schools taught us, what advertising teaches us. And it's that worthiness that everyone struggles for until they realize that no matter what, you have an inherent worthiness that makes you the same as everyone else. Everyone is worthy of life. Everyone is worthy of self-acceptance and their living their lives. No one is better or worse than another because of an action, or no one's self-worth is lowered or accelerated through achievements or failures of achievements. Your worthiness is not diminished because you didn't get a job promotion. Your worthiness is not accelerated or elevated because you got a job promotion. There is an inherent line that everyone has, and it doesn't vary for anyone. No one is better than another. And we need to make sure that we recognize that and see that there's no one out there better than you. There's no one out there worse than you. That's just how life is. We're all human beings. No one's better, no one's worse. One of the things that we need to do while we're examining and working on our self-existence is looking at the role of ego and how it interferes, warps, and changes our perception. That ego is tied to those expectations I talked about previously. It's tied to you have to have your house by 40, you have to have your first kids by, yeah, all of it's garbage. It's all how you compare and how you think you are worthy against that and how it lowers or raises your value when there's no change. You're worthy. You have accomplishments, but they don't change your worthiness as a human being. They don't change the worthiness of being loved, being respected. You still deserve that by being a human being. What you can do is take that ego and look at it and see what it's reacting, see what it's rebelling against, see what it's demanding, to see what you actually need fed and taken care of and respected. Is your ego that the job that you're doing isn't good enough? This is something you can fix. You work on getting a better job. But is it going to change your actual feeling of worthiness? Not really, because you're still going to have problems. You're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to have self-doubt. You're still going to have conflicts no matter what. And you're right back at that same trying to figure out where that ever-moving bar because of your ego is matching. When instead, what you need to do is look at that moment and say, okay, so why is my ego bruised by that? What does that reflect in me? What do I see as a thing that is a weakness or a thing that I need to accept or a situation that I need to acknowledge that what I'm really doing is trying to demand control in it? So What you do is you use that ego as a barometer, just like you use resistance as a barometer for authenticity. Does it feel right when I do this? No. Then it may not be what reflects what your higher power, not higher power, higher purpose, your desire, your overarching goal is to be as a human being. What does the resistance tell you about that? Why are you resistant to it? Is it a result of it goes against what you want, or is it a matter of it goes against a trigger that comes from a previous event, an unresolved trauma? What is triggering the resistance? What is triggering your ego? These are things that need to be investigated and explored. And by doing that, you are able to process, accept that that happened, but it's the past, and that its bearing on now is nothing but a foundation for a reaction. And you need to build a reaction that isn't out of fear. It's out of love for yourself and out of acceptance of yourself and the fact that you can make mistakes, that you're not perfect. Everyone I know has a touch of imposter syndrome, including me, especially making these videos. We all have ideas in our head of who we are and who we aren't because of the garbage programming that we've been given by the people in our past and by society. It's deciding to not let that programming take you over. You know what you need to do. You know what you want out of life. No one else does. What someone else knows is what they want you to have out of life. Those aren't the same. You are responsible for steering your own life. You can't let someone else take that over. It's up to you to take responsibility for your life and to make those decisions to steer your path. But taking those bricks, that foundation, and building a better way to do things instead of the exact same building that is decades old is the only way you get change. You can't change if you use the same materials in the same way on a daily basis. If you react the exact same way every time, nothing is going to change. It's back to the whole insanity and doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result, and it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to change until you change something within that. How do we do this? We build on those successes. We tear down the failures. We look at different ways to build it through instead of trying to do it the same way again because, well, it didn't work last time, but I'm sure it will this time. We just talked about that. It's the desire to be better. It starts with stopping judging yourself. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Start embracing what you want, what you do, what you feel, what resonates from inside of you. We talked about resonance in another video. What makes you happy? What makes your heart sing? How can you express that in a loving, sharing way? And self-acceptance is completely tied into self-esteem. Because if you don't accept yourself, then you're not going to hold yourself in high regard, and you're going to look down on yourself, and you're going to put out energy that says, I'm not very good. I don't think I'm good. When you accept yourself and you put out energy that says, I think I'm awesome. I think that I am working really hard and I'm proud of myself and I'm going to do good. You're going to get back from the universe completely different energies by presenting yourself in those different ways. Which way do you want the energy of the universe to be given to you? By self-acceptance and working through, you're going to be able to receive those energies way better. And loving yourself is really the key. One of the foundational steps of self-acceptance that can help you advance is by recognizing your accomplishments and giving yourself praise. By giving yourself praise and recognizing the things that you did right, even if you're looking back on a situation that didn't go entirely right, if you give yourself grace and you give yourself praise by recognizing the achievements, the positives, the things you did right, the fact that you're learning the ways that you could do things better, by recognizing that, you stop a pattern of self-abuse from this horrible measuring stick that we constantly hold against ourselves. And by removing that measuring stick, we stop beating ourselves with it. We accept ourselves. We recognize the accomplishments that we've made and the fact that we've worked hard to get where we are. All of us have. And you deserve praise for the work that you've done. You need to give it to yourself. There is only one you. You're beautiful. You're loved. You are so worthy of love. Love yourself. We love you. I love you. It's a matter of you have to love to get it back. You have to accept to be accepted. And I wish you luck, and I wish you well, and I wish you success. Thank you for listening. I'm Morgan Hornman. May the love of the Lord and Lady be ever in your hearts. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all the clicky things. Say hi, share the video. I'd like to hear back from you. I got a lot going on. I've got a lot of videos coming out of this video that have been inspired that will be getting released over the next, however long it takes. Thank you so much for listening, and I want you to have an amazing day. Praise be to Pan. Peace.